Today, talking about the Candito program. This is going to be my full 100% honest review. Ran this program 3 times. If you've been following my channel, you see the playlist of all the weekly training vlogs. So just wanted to give my full review. Had a really good experience training with this program. Just want to say right off the bat, actually put 100 pounds on my beltless total. So took my squat from 300, deadlift from 400, and bench was 225. Those are my training maxes to start at 165 pounds. Gained 5 pounds over the course of 12 weeks. 12 weeks, and took my training maxes from, these are training maxes, let alone projected maxes, from that to 345 for the squat, 245 for the bench, and 445 for the deadlift. And this is actually lowballing it, considering when I did my mock meet for this program, I actually kind of rushed into it. I didn't give myself enough. I only did my last deadlift training session about 2 days before I did my mock meet, which is just, if anyone in the powerlifting community, I'll tell you that's just stupid and dumb. But anyways, I wanted to talk more about the program. Just like wrote a couple notes down. So starting off, frequency. It's twice a week for the squat, 2 to 3 times a week for the bench. The first 2 weeks you're benching 3 times a week, and then the rest of the program it's twice, except for week 5, which you're doing everything once. And then the deadlift is just once a week, and usually there's another deadlift workout that has a variation. In week 2, you don't do the competition style deadlift at all. It's just both variations, because the squat volume is jacked up a little bit in week 2. Actually have those numbers right here, which is what I want to talk about next. It's fairly high volume. So a lot of people initially, when they're going to do this program, if you're an intermediate or an early intermediate, so you've been weight training for about like a year or so, you're going to see like a pretty significant jump and probably make some pretty good PRs after the first run through of this program, because in the first week you're doing 56 reps in the squat, 28 in the deadlift, and 68 plus in the bench. That's not counting 68 in the bench, excluding the max rep out bench day, which is the last, I think it's the Saturday workout, which is a lot of reps, especially for early accumulation phase of the program. Then week 2, you go 65 reps in the squat. If you do all of the reps that are required within the rep range, and then week 2 it goes to 65. You do all the reps of the squat. The program gives you 52 in the bench, which is also excluding max rep work, which is still a lot. And then the deadlift is just variation, like I said before. So you're accommodating in week 2, you're accommodating the deadlift, scaling back the volume in the deadlift to accommodate the higher squat volume and the more intense nature of those workouts. You also are doing 10 sets of 3 back off sets the one day, and you're supposed to do it on a minute rest between sets, which is actually pretty crazy. But I will get into that in a second, why that's also important. So as far as training frequency and volume wise, for you, if you're an early intermediate, this is actually good, I think. You're exposing yourself to a higher volume and more training frequency of the competition style lifts, what have you. This is just gonna get you better at them, and it's gonna expose you to more stimulus that I'm sure you probably haven't been exposed to yet. So intensity wise, you're working with between 70 and 85% of your max through the majority of this program. Intensity just increases gradually. It's just something that happens with periodization. Volume and intensity, they have an inverse relationship. You take away reps and you add weight, and that's essentially periodization in a nutshell. How to make gains, like very, very simple, dumbed down version of that. So intensity wise, it kind of shoots up obviously towards weeks 4 and 5, starts to get heavy. As long as you're honest with yourself with your training maxes, I don't see you running into an issue with failing sets because you went too heavy. And you also get a chance to adjust your training max for the squat in week 2 of the program. So if you're having any trouble with that, it kind of troubleshoots itself. So I know my brother actually running this program actually had an issue, and he had to lighten the his training max like 5 or 10 pounds, just a little bit. So just don't think you're Ed Cohn before you start this program and start loading up 900 pounds on the bar. Obvious shit. So week 2, reason why the rest between sets is important is because it's going to improve your work capacity, which is something that I think is very overlooked in powerlifting programs. This program, especially the first 2 weeks, they build a hell of a base. They push you into almost overreaching, and it's what slingshots you into making some pretty good gains. So by improving your work capacity this way, just makes all the other workouts and training sessions in the program kind of seem easy. You really cut volume in week 2 and week 3, and that is where you start your taper in this program. The difference is week 2 in the squat, you're doing 65 reps. The bench, you're doing 52 reps. And in week 3, you're doing 24 in the squat and 36 in the bench. This is pretty drastic drop in volume for both of those lifts. So by doing that, you're giving your body a chance to start to let the fatigue dissipate and start to let your body recover into transmuting and realizing those gains that you just kind of shocked your body into. So it's a really cool thing about the program, work capacity. It just makes everything seem easier. That was my take from it. After doing week 2, I would walk up to the bar week 3, doing like 3 sets of 6, 3 sets 4 to 6, I think the workout was. And I'm just like doing these sets, I'm like, this is nothing. Like I'm not even tired, not even breaking a sweat, barely, doing those squat sets. So it's just definitely something that I think is a total positive of the program. And I think that carries over going forward. It's definitely important to just have good work capacity. You always hear about Louis Simmons talk about making his lifters do a lot of sled work. You see Jesse Norris doing strongman training, and no wonder why that guy is just so freaking strong. He just has a crazy work capacity. He's doing 595 for sets of 12, and it's just something that I think is just a good thing in general that everyone should kind of focus more on. So after running the program 3 times, how do I think it could be improved? And I think there's 2 ways that you can improve this program. One of which is a way that can help you break through some plateaus you might hit on the program, and that is adding more volume or adding to the accumulation phase of the program, which is the first 2 weeks. And what I would do for this, for starters, is just do week 1, but before week 1, and just subtract 10 pounds from all of the training weights that you would be doing in week 1. This is just going to add to the accumulation phase. You're just going to accumulate more volume and more stimulus before you start that drop off. You have that drop off going from week 2 to week 3 and start to taper and dissipate that volume. I found this worked pretty well for me in the 3rd run through of this program. That's just something that can definitely be used as a tool to help you not plateau on the program. But the other way I think this program can be improved is if you actually are somebody who knows how to use RPEs and the RPE scale. I think if you use RPEs in the weeks where it gives you a rep range for the sets, I think that could be a total help. And I just think because you build up so much fatigue in the first 2 weeks of this program, and your body is just kind of beat up going into week 3 and week 4, and they start to give you these rep ranges where it's 4 to 6 reps, or I think the other one is like 1 to 2 reps in the squat and deadlift and 2 to 4 reps on the bench. Those rep ranges, if you use RPEs and you make sure you're stopping at least at an RPE 9 on those sets, I think being that fatigued, the problem you could run into is just trying to push too hard, too much before you hit that final week 5. All right, now let's try to see and test where we're at. You want to save that all for week 5, week 6 when you're maxing out. So that's just one thing I did in this program. I have a video where I talk about how I auto-regulate those parts of the program. I definitely suggest you check it out. So that's just the 2 things that I would use to improve this program. So for the most part, my experience on this program was really good. I hit some awesome PRs. Like I said, I put about 100 pounds on my beltless total, which is also lowballing it. It may have been even more. So having said that, I would definitely recommend this program for you if you're an early intermediate, someone who's been training for at least a year, I would say, someone who has not been exposed to higher volumes yet and higher training frequencies that are more than once a week. I know a lot of people that have like a general bodybuilding type style of training background could start doing this program and just make gains right away. I've seen it. I know friends that have done it. That's why I recommend this program to people who are also kind of like general strength athletes who just want to just get stronger than the big three. That, and I also think this program is awesome if you're learning periodization, you want to learn more about powerlifting, you want to get into powerlifting and start training really heavy. I think that this is something that you would definitely enjoy if you're one of those types of people. Definitely 5 stars. If I had to rate this program out of 10, I'd probably have to give it as close to a 10 as possible. I don't know if there's such thing as a perfect program, but this is at least a 9 out of 10, I would say. Thank you for watching. Go down below, hit the subscribe button. I got a bunch of reviews like this coming out on the channel, plus some other vlogs and weekly training updates I got. Stay tuned for more. Thanks you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces.